Hello, welcome back to Mosaics. I'm Holly Beach. It's our podcast with the Idaho Office for Refugees to share the story of Idahoans from all around the world. And today we have the honor of speaking with Sakhi Hasmati. He is an Idaho Community Advisor Network Supervisor at the International Rescue Committee in Boise. And most recently in June, you got your citizenship. And so that was very exciting to be there at World Refugee Day, celebrating that day with you. So welcome to Mosaics.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. I'm delightful to be here. And I think the last time we met was an IR retreat, which was in October. October. Yeah. So like 4 months ago.
Yeah, that was
Time flies.
I know, it really does. So you, congratulations on getting your American citizenship.
Thank you.
Takes 5 years, right, to get to that point to be eligible after getting resettled as a refugee.
Yes, it takes like 5 years. It changes. It varies. Depends on your circumstances and status. And in the process takes from like 6 months to 1 year. It depends on the backlog. Yeah. And after that, they ask you for the interview and they check your background. And after that, if you pass your civic test, then there you go. You are.
Yeah.
They will invite you for the ceremony.
What was that civic test like? I've never taken it.
It's about asking about United States, its history, Constitution, which I love. It's my favorite part.
You like to learn about all the history things.
Constitution and history. That's my favorite topic in every and in every country or any country. They ask you about your personal life, your history of where you lived, and the last 5 years, what you have done.
Oh, it asks you about your own life too?
Yes, obviously.
Oh, I thought it was just more of the basics of American government and history. I didn't know you had to share about yourself as well.
No, you have to share about yourself as well.
Okay.
The last 5 years, what you have done, where you have worked, where you have lived, and then they will ask you about the history of the United States,
Nice.
Who was the first president of the United States, other questions like that, and also the Constitution, that when was it was implemented, or talk about the amendments, all those questions. Yeah.
It's good to study.
I did. In fact, I did. Yeah. I used to put some of the videos on my car when I was driving from work to home, or from to gym to home, or anywhere. I was just putting those videos, and they were kind of repeating those questions, and I would learn the questions and the answers. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, that I love to learn more about constitutions and history of the countries. So that was very helpful for me to learn very easily. Mm-hmm. And even though I know people who have take a lot of stress about this civic test, mm-hmm. and they're what are we gonna do? How are we gonna practice and everything? But I think practicing is one of the key.
Yeah. I'm sure I would need to brush up and practice if I were to pass that.
If I ask you a question, I'm sure
I know. I'm like, when was the Constitution written? 17?
How many amendments do we have?
Oh, gosh. 21?
21, there you go.
Is it right?
Yeah. I think so. I forgot.
Just making me feel good.
I think it's 21. Yeah.
If the 22nd one is the most important one, I apologize. Because
so far it's 21. Please don't take me if I'm wrong.
We won't judge you on this podcast. You're good. So you said you like to learn about the countries where you are. What other countries have you lived in?
Okay, that's a good question. I have lived in different places in different countries. I was born in Afghanistan, but my upbringing was across multiple places, in Afghanistan and different provinces and cities. Same goes in Pakistan, a little bit of time in India and Dubai. And then finally I moved, or I immigrated to Idaho 6-7 years ago. Mm-hmm. When I say I, because my family they kind of established their roots a decade and a half before then I arrived. We kind of come one by one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I have lived in different countries, and I have learned from their culture. Most of the places, the religion has been the same, Islam, which is also my religion. And so I have learned from their cultures, from their traditions, and their food. I love their food, especially spicy food.
Yes. Is it hard for you to find your spicy food fix here?
Well, I don't eat a lot from outside. My parents, especially my mother, she cooks at home, and she knows that I like spicy, so
Nice.
she makes sure she make my food at least spicy.
That's great.
Yes,
Moms are great.
they are great. Yes, yes. I mean, that's so. When I arrived in Idaho, my first impression was to I need to get out of here,
Oh, really?
because I literally want to move to a different state. But then my parents, especially my brother Suleiman, they insisted me to stay, and because I mean they had their concern that a young man who's new to the country, so what he's gonna do and where he will
Mhm.
live, which is genuine, that's understandable.
Mm.
So I took their advice, and I when I reflect back on my decision, I'm like, no, it was a great choice to
I'm glad
stay
you stayed.
here in
Well,
Idaho.
yeah. When you first, what were you wanting that you thought Idaho was not?
Um, so it's basically you wanted to live in a state that you can have more income,
Hmm.
you can earn more, and have make a proper life for yourself, because I
Hmm.
always I wanted to have a luxury life. But then when kind of you when you grow, you kind of realize that normal life is important,
Yeah,
normal and a healthy life than a luxury life, because always everything comes with their pros and cons.
that's true. I like
Yeah.
how you chose nonprofit work as your pathway to get rich.
Exactly, exactly.
Can-
Well, yeah, I mean, that is, let's say that's not surprising, because I have kind of experience of going through the same situation,
Mm.
but I never saw myself in IRC or a nonprofit
Yeah.
organization. It would just happen. Something just happened.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're giving back to people who are on a different part of the path from you?
Of course, definitely. I mean, I understand them. So here's the thing: that when I arrived in Idaho, as I mentioned earlier, that my family was here already,
Hmm.
and they were kind of supported me with everything,
Hmm.
with the housing. If not, then with the employment, I had to search for that
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
But with the housing and kind of connecting with the resources, for example, getting your social security card from the Social Security Administration, or your driving license from a DMV, and other
Mm.
resources. So when I think about it, that what if I was all alone by myself? How challenging it could be for myself to kind of find the resources, find a place to live, find a job, and always be uh, make time for everything, to cook, to work, and to basically everything, and also
Yeah.
finding these resources that's so helpful, and that's necessary in your daily life. And that's why I appreciate these resettlement agencies and nonprofit organizations. They are very helpful for the new arrivals and new refugees.
Yeah. And you also have the English skills, so you had another layer of support just through knowing the language that
That is
I
definitely helpful. That's
yeah.
definitely helpful. Well, here's the thing. If I mean, it's gonna be a long story, but I will make it short. I was kind of so my parents, they always one of the reasons why we were just moving around is because uh, they had their concerns about their children's safety,
Mhm.
and they wanted to provide a security and peace environment, and and also to educate us. That was their kind of goal, and luckily they were able to do so.
Yeah.
So, and I was attending school and English classes, and that's how I learned. But and so let's say in my class at that time, I was the youngest and the smartest, and English classes. And that's why I think I was getting bullied a lot.
Uh,
And I don't wanted to attend. And my dad was like, no, you have to go. I will
mm,
take you there. You and I have to stay there with you. I will. So my dad kind of, as growing me there all the time. Like every time I was going to this classes, he would stay outside, just
oh man.
make sure I attend the classes and I don't get bullied.
Huh.
And then also the teacher kind of noticed that, and then they reach out to him that, hey, if you're interested, you can join him in the class inside.
Oh yeah.
And then he started attending those classes with me, and then he found it very interesting to learn a new language, and then
Mhm.
he joined me on all those classes. So at that time I was really uh, at the young age, when you're like 9 or 10 or 11, you kind of easily catch a language.
Yeah.
It's very easy. to do so. So I think I had that, that skill, the talent to learn that, and that's why I say I was the smartest in the class.
Yeah, you had
But
an advantage of picking it up young. How
exactly,
old were you think?
let's say 10,
Oh yeah, around
9, 10,
10. So you
11,
weren't too
because
embarrassed about your dad yet? You weren't like 13, 14.
I
No.
was, let's say I don't remember. Maybe it was awkward in the beginning, but then I think I kind of get used to it. And then, when the time was coming for like, to go to the English courses. So when I say English classes, it's pretty much similar to ELC, which we have here, English
Yeah.
Language Center. So it was like, back in there as well. I mean, they would, in schools, they would like, have English classes, but it was not like,
Not as
and the
intensive probably.
intense, yes.
Which country was this at this point in your life that you were living in?
So Pakistan
Okay.
and Pakistan, yeah. But these kind of like English centers are everywhere, like in
Mhm.
back in Asia at least, in
It is
Afghanistan
like when I
too.
travel, I do feel very privileged because no matter where I go, the chances are someone there will speak English or
Yes,
there will be resources.
yes.
And it's pretty fortunate. Yeah, I mean, it's like I realize that that's like a luxury kind of to be
Of
able
course, yeah,
to
it's a
like
privilege. It's a
yeah,
privilege,
it's definitely a
definitely,
privilege.
because it's an international language,
Hmm.
and this is why like it's a necessary. Well, I mean, I have been in Pakistan and Afghanistan, and I know that a few in the public schools they do not provide English classes until like in your on the 7 or 8 or above
Okay.
classes. But then this is why. But in personal schools, I'm sorry, in private schools, yes,
Okay.
but you have to pay a very high um, amount of money to
Wow.
attend, which I wish I was able to do, thanks to my parents again.
Yeah.
They always wanted to like educate us. Um, so yeah, it's still in one of those English classes. I was like going there with my father, and I think after that there was a huge gap of like 7 and 8 years that I couldn't like kind of practice
Mhm.
or like have a proper communication. And then let's say I totally forgot the English language, but then when I
Yeah.
came back here, I mean, we had a little bit um, English conversations in the schools and uh, universities, but still like not a proper way of like how we were going to those classes or like learning at that time.
Mm.
So there was a huge gap, and I couldn't continue to practice and to learn more or have a like a proper communication with friends. And then, but when I came back here with like communicating with people and kind of like
Comes
refresh my
back, huh?
mind and it
Yeah.
comes back. Yeah.
I know I felt that
Sorry,
way
it
with
was a long
Spanish.
story.
No, it's interesting. Like I um I learned Spanish for so many years growing up, like 6th grade on through college, minored in it. And now, like sometimes at Global Talent, like Heather will bring in a client who speaks Spanish. She's
Yeah.
like, Holly speaks Spanish, and she'll try to connect us for a conversation, and my mind like goes totally blank because I just haven't practiced it for years.
Yeah, I
And
think you need
so,
to definitely you need to practice, especially when you want to learn a language.
yeah.
I'm willing to learn two more languages, like Spanish and Swahili.
Oh,
But yes,
Swahili.
I want to learn that language
So a
because
lot of your clients probably speak Swahili.
obviously, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very a well-known language in Idaho, at least. Like
Mm-hmm.
people know that a lot of people's like first language is like Swahili. So I want to learn that not just because for my clients, but also like for everyone around,
Yeah.
especially like if we cannot help someone through our organization. So I mean, if I know their language, I can do it outside of that as well.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah, I lived in South Africa for 6 months and didn't learn. I mean, I feel kind of bad about this now, but I really didn't
Hmm.
pick up any like Afrikaans or Zulu or anything because everyone spoke English too. So I just didn't like.
And
I
I think
wish now I would have spent more time learning, but yeah.
learning Spanish,
Another, well,
another
no,
language.
like just the language there of the local culture. It just felt really daunting, and I didn't. And since English was spoken, I kind of got lazy and just used that.
Hmm.
So I think it's neat when people put the effort in to learn.
I think when you're young, you don't care about these things. Yeah, unless you're like, it's necessary for you to learn. Because
Yeah.
like there was a time I was living in one of the cities, and I had to like, learn Pashto so I can speak with people
Yeah.
there.
Is that close to Dari or is it totally different than Dari?
No, it's different than Dari.
Okay. I always
It's
thought maybe they were similar,
No,
but
they're not similar.
okay.
I mean, Dari and Pashto are the like, official languages of Afghanistan, but it's
Mhm.
different. Even in Pashto itself, they have different dialects and different,
Hmm.
communities that speak a different Pashtos. I mean, one person can not understand another's,
Yeah.
I mean, not accent, but dialects.
What makes sense are sometimes like when I'm watching TV and it's like Scottish or British accents, I find
Right?
myself like putting the subtitles
Yeah.
on just to hear it better. But
When I came to Idaho, obviously there was a cultural shock for me.
Mhm.
Even though I had everything, the big asset for anyone I think would be like their family and their support, and which I have that, and I believe that's a still an asset for me, and it always like has been helpful for me to toward me going um, move on ahead. So one of the stories that when I got off my first job, uh, back in Afghanistan, when you were working or you wanted to show your like closeness or being friendly to one of your colleagues, you would hug them.
Mhm.
And when I came here on my first day of my work, I was working in one of the marketing companies back in Meridian, and so I went to hug one of my friends. His name was Sean,
Uh.
and he was like, "No, we don't do that here."
Weirded him out a bit.
Oh, like okay, okay,
Like, what, you don't
that's
like me too?
right. And then I think it kind of takes time for you to learn that this
Yeah.
is a different environment, different place, and I think I did. I kind of learned, and now I mean, I understand things better than than the time when I came here first initially.
Yeah, I think that touch is such an interesting way, or like closeness, physical closeness and touch. Like I can't remember where I was going, but my cousin was like, what country it was, but he said you might see guys holding hands. It doesn't mean that they're dating or anything. They just they're closer there. They're more comfortable with physical contact. And here, if you saw guys holding hands, you would know they were dating or they're in a
Right,
romantic.
right.
But he's like, it doesn't mean necessarily mean that. It's just there's the different shared
Yes,
closeness that
yes.
Americans aren't
We
comfortable with.
kind of if you're close to someone, you would hug them and kiss them from their cheek. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's what I used to do back in there. But nowadays, if
You've learned.
someone asks me to hug them or kiss them, I'm like, no, thanks. No, I'm good.
How
Thank you.
quickly you
Just a
adapt.
handshake. Nice to meet
Yeah.
you, sir.
How quickly you adapt. That's fun.
Right. I think you have to adapt yourself if you
Yeah.
want to just, um, it's not that you have to lose yourself, but
Mhm.
kind of adapting yourself is definitely going to be helpful for you to,
Mhm.
to succeed in your life and in your career and like in a society and an environment, let's say that way.
Yeah. What other ways did you find that you were adapting, but you were still staying true to yourself?
Uh, learning from, I mean, I appreciate the diversity that we have in Idaho or in the United States, but other than that, I mean, like learning from their cultures, but also keeping mine as well,
Mhm.
whether it comes to my religious or my culture, or so we believe as a like collective, as a family,
Mhm.
and I mean, a lot of people does here, and a lot of people doesn't.
Mhm.
It's totally different, but I mean, like I mean, I stayed the remain. I mean, I remained the same, the way I was like taught or
Mhm.
have been learned from my family, like being collective, be there for one another and support them. Living collectively, I live with my parents.
Yeah.
um,
I
uh,
mean, based on hearing about your mom's cooking, I think that's a very good choice.
of course, yes, yes. She loves me a lot, and I really, appreciate for having a wonderful mother.
Do you have siblings that live there too, or nephews, nieces,
Of course,
kids?
I have a lot, and I'm married as well. Just so you know,
Yeah.
I am married, but my wife and I are like not living together because her visa process is still pending.
Oh,
It's in
so where is
the
she
visa
now then?
process. She's in Pakistan.
How long have you guys been living in separate countries?
2 years or more than
I'm
that. Yeah,
sorry.
it's a bit struggling and
That's
pain.
hard.
It is hard. Well, the reason why I brought this is because, like, you asked if I have nephews and nieces. I said yes, I do have a nephew and niece, but I don't have any children.
Yeah.
Yes, so I have two brothers and a sister. One of my elder brothers, Suleiman, and my sister lives here with us in Idaho.
Aw. And what's your wife's name?
Hoda,
Hold
Hoda
on.
Hashmi. Yeah, she is. She's she does political videos in YouTube.
Wow.
And beside that, she has so many other talents, which I always surprises me, and I appreciate it. Yeah,
Do you have any idea of when she'll be able to join you here?
I hope soon. I hope
Okay.
soon, but we're just waiting for the interview later for the
Okay.
interview process. So hopefully soon. It's just a backlog that I came.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be here, like sooner, but because of the the backlogs, it's just like taking some time. It's a time consuming. So we're just waiting and hoping that it comes soon.
Yeah. How do you stay connected as a couple when you're so far apart?
Um, well, it's the social media time.
Mm.
We call it zamana, like the world of social media. So I mean, I'm grateful that we have this opportunities to have a video calls and text messagings, and also I recently went there to visit her.
Oh, good.
I was there with her for like 2 months
Oh,
before,
good.
just right
Yeah.
after before the sorry the match we had, the soccer match we had. If
Oh,
you
the
were there,
soccer match.
yeah,
Yes, the Afghan Cultural
I
Center
just came
match.
like 2 weeks before that
Oh,
match.
okay.
Yeah,
That's right. I saw you there too on that team. That
you
was
were
a really
there.
fun game. Yes.
I'm glad. I'm
Yeah,
glad. Yeah,
it
it
was really
was, even though
fun.
it was a great match, even though it was like freezing to
It was so
death.
cold. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good match, and I really appreciate whoever organized it. I think it was ACCI
Yeah, Naveed at
and
the Afghan Cultural
Avant
Center.
Cultural Center. Yeah, I appreciate those who organized it, and also the coach and the team. It was a great match.
Yeah.
I think it was a great opportunity for people come and join and have some fun with their
Mhm.
families. Unfortunately, it was a little bit cold,
I
but
know. I'm like,
that
can the
was not
next
in
one
our
be in
hand.
June or something?
I hope that, right? I hope
Yeah.
that too. I think, yeah, they had a match with the team, I think last summer or before that. They went to Seattle. I
Mhm.
couldn't go there because of the work, and
That's why they
obviously
lost, because you
they
weren't
lost it, and that
there.
yeah, right. Yeah, we
You
should
were the
mention this to them.
factor.
Yeah, see, if you don't have me in your team,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Not gonna
I'm just
win.
kidding. Um, yeah, I mean they lost it there, and I think they invited them back. But well, I was on vacation for 2 months, and then I came. I was really not expecting to be in the squad
Oh, okay.
because of being out of exercise and playing out of the being out of field. I kind of gained a lot of weight because I was eating everything like
Oh,
DC food,
yeah.
spicy food, especially with my life.
Yes.
So gained a lot of weight, and I wasn't ready to play. But I appreciate the team and the coach, especially the coach that uh, he gave me a chance to at least play. I think like the last 20 minutes of the game I played. But luckily we won. Yeah, we were doing a lot of excessive practice. But
Mm,
I mean, I can tell that for the last 2 weeks before the match
just
that I
getting
was
ready.
there getting ready. Yeah,
Getting your butt in shape again.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of helpful.
That's
It
good.
was kind of helpful, but obviously it had its tool to stay away from practice and exercise for 2 months. I mean, it looks very short, but when you're not taking care of your health, not being in diet, it's a lot.
Oh, it's crazy how fast it like
Yeah.
goes away, but then how fast you can get it back to.
Have you ever had parathas, chicken cheese, like parathas or biryanis, like the spicy food or like Indian
Um,
or Pakistani foods?
I don't think I've had Pakistani food. I've had some
It's
Afghan food, but I think they made it very like white person friendly because it wasn't that,
well,
it
yes,
wasn't that spicy.
it wasn't that spicy. Well, have you ever had like food?
Yeah,
It's
but
pretty much
I'm kind of a
similar.
baby too. I always go with like the one pepper dish
Oh,
on the menu.
if it's
I'm
not
getting there.
4 or 5 for me,
Yeah, the 4 or 5. I don't think I would do well. You were
and
telling me earlier about your name as you were trying to help me pronounce it, and I wasn't doing the best job. I apologize. But can
that's
you tell us
absolutely fine.
about your name and what you're named after?
Sakhi, Sakhi is it means being kind,
Oh,
and I hope I am kind. If I'm not, please forgive me.
I'll have to make sure I'm like you're not living up to your name right now.
Right. Sakhi Hasmati. Hismati is basically like my grandfather's name, which was put after us. And Sakhi is one of our prophet in Islam, and um, that's meant Prophet Sakhi. And I think so. I forgot the story about it. Sorry, guys.
Earlier you said like a lion of.
Yes, I mean that's the main part, but I just want to go through the basics of where
Mm,
it was started.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the only thing that I remember right now is that people call it, especially in Afghanistan, that's Sakhi Khoda, which means like Sakhi, the line of God,
Mm.
because I think he was very close to God. And yeah,
Do you have a strong faith community here? You seem very connected to your faith.
um, we do have, I mean, communities from different countries. We go to mosque for the prayers, and yeah, I wanna like practice my religion, like do my prayers and fasting in Ramadan. On Ramadan, we do like normally have fasting, which is not like, it's not about the timing. But for the prayers, I kind of get easy sometimes, even though I want to like, do my prayers for the 5 times on daily basis and also be there on the, uh, you know, be on the mosque for the Friday prayers. But sometimes I'm able to do it and
Yeah.
sometimes not, even though like, my wife, which I really appreciate that. And my parents, they do like encourage me, and especially when my wife and I are communicating and we are talking about the Islamic topics, I really like love and enjoy that those topics, and like I feel it kind of making me more closer to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah, having the
yes,
bond over. That probably would be hard to stick to the 5 prayer schedule if you're in a society that's not doing that. The flow of it probably
yes,
like, oh, I
yes.
have a
I mean,
team,
like
I have a work meeting on Teams right now, but I'm supposed to be,
on the
that'd be hard
prayers.
to
I
like
mean,
stick to it.
it's not like kind of specific time, but it is a period. And
Mhm.
especially when you mention if you're not in the environment of that, you definitely either forget it or you come with something that you just can't avoid it.
Yeah.
But I try my best to like pray as much as I can.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's a good practice to like, even for me, like I don't have a specific religion, but I like to pause, and it's a good reminder to pause and like
Think about it. Yeah.
reflect and have gratitude. And like I used to pray as a kid, we would always pray before our meals, and I think
That's sweet.
I like lost habit of that. And but sometimes I just stop and think like, how fortunate am I to have this food right now and whenever I need it, and the people that grew it, and
Yeah.
just really thinking about the gratitude. And I think we just go go go
Right.
so
Yes.
much, and it's hard to pause and reflect on like the spirituality of what
Exactly.
we're
I
doing.
would echo to that, like, pausing and thinking about, like, this whole planet and universe. And you will, like, if you just, like, uh, read or watch about, like, the planet and universe, it's like so big and we are so small in front
Mhm.
of those things. And that's what makes you realize that there's definitely someone who is, like, controlling everything or, like, watching out or have created everything. And then when it comes to that, you like, when you see those all those religions, I found Islam like, more like, sensible for me,
Mhm.
in my opinion, at least for me, that yes, I mean, this is something at least my parents like, uh, had this, and it's a good opportunity for me to have it and continue to my children.
Yeah. I think the rituals are very special, and the consistency, like the more I've learned about Ramadan,
Yes.
the the holy month where
Hmm.
people, I'm just saying this for listeners, not for your sake, but if you don't know what Ramadan is, maybe just share a tiny bit about what Ramadan is.
Well, Ramadan is basically like, you fast for 30 days, and within those 30 days you basically want to dedicate your most of the time to God, and like share food or clothes or anything that you can afford
Mm.
to the families. And also it kind of helps you to realize, especially when you feel hunger and thirst, that like a lot of people are in this situation right now. And that definitely makes, I mean, it's just my personal opinion that I'm sharing with you.
Yeah.
And that's when it gives you the idea that how much we should appreciate God, and how much should we like cannot feel too proud,
Mm.
and be there to help people, and be there like to take hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after the sun goes down, people gather,
Yes. Sorry.
sharing food. I just
I
think
should
that's
have
really
used this.
special, like the community around it. You're not doing it by yourself.
Yes, I mean, like, if you're able to go to the mosque, there are like, communities who just, make food, and then, you can just eat a little bit and go and do your prayers and then come back, and it's not only about like eating, but, looking or meeting, your friends or colleagues
Mhm.
after some times that you have not been in touch. And, if you get the chance that you can do tarawih, which is like after the, breaking your fast and basically dedicating most of your time to God
Mm.
and appreciating your life and finding like true values of your life and also helping people.
Yeah. I was sharing with you before we started recording that I had a chance to go to Greece in 2016, and we were at it was actually a like recreational camp, like a beautiful camp resort,
Hmm.
and it was the off season, and the owner had allowed people from Syria who had fled violence. He let them stay there during the off season, so we went and spent some time with them, did some English classes, and just got to know them. And it was Ramadan, and so they invited us back to break fast with them after sunset. And I remember beforehand, I actually ate because I was like, I don't want to take any of their food. Like I felt kind of bad. And so I ate so I wouldn't be like coming hungry. And,
Right.
but we got there and that was a huge mistake because they had this huge spread and they shared so much and it was so good.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and they were so, the generosity and the
Exactly,
warmth
the
was
generosity, especially
amazing.
they love spreading, sharing food in Ramadan. I think Ramadan is like one of the holiest month for Muslim people, and on that month, on Ramadan months, they really um, open their heart basically and wants
Yeah.
to share their money, food, or any or clothes or anything they can to help people, and I think that way it kind of makes them feel good.
Hmm.
And that's way one of the ways to keep yourself busy so you don't feel the hunger and thirst.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's true. Like focusing on other people.
right.
But I just remember this couple. I think they were both teachers
Uh-huh.
back in Syria, and they had to like go over, really scary like mountain passes with their kids, and just to get out of there. And here they were, totally out of their element, and creating this wonderful
Uh-huh.
experience for us. It was just, I'll never forget that.
Um, on on Islamic countries like Afghanistan, Turkey, Pakistan, I mean, Ramadan month is like kind of a festival, especially during
Hmm.
the evenings and nights that every people like go out and you kind of like enjoying it and you're appreciating it. Like, watching people going running to, to mosques to get them their prayers and when it comes to I remember there was a time when uh, on Ramadans on official places, it gives you off around 2 p.m. and so you get sometimes to either go have some prayers or sleep or uh, prepare for the evening
Mm.
food. So I would go and have my prayers and then sleep and then wake up and then go out and when you're hungry you want to just buy everything.
Yes, that's why. Yeah, don't
So
go grocery shopping when you're hungry.
I have done that a lot of the time,
Yeah.
most of the times. Even I would still do that. Believe me,
Spend
if
way
I'm
too much
hungry,
money.
yeah, I go to either Walmart or any kind of just buy everything, especially with the sauces and spices. Uh, Normally we make samosas and bulanis like
Okay.
parathas on those, especially on after the sunset and after the prayers or the azan, and so I just go and grab everything that I like to make a little bit tastier. I don't know what we were talking about or what was our topic about, but yeah, I mean,
Just
um,
like the party atmosphere. And like
yes,
I always like because we got to be in Istanbul for one of the nights of this trip, and
really,
it was such a
wow,
party at night. And they had this whole line of vendors and these lights,
yeah.
and people were making their craft right in front of you, like glass or jewelry
So
or
you have seen it. You have
it's
sing it.
amazing. It
It
was
is
so
amazing. Yeah, I told you
special.
it's
And
kind of
I
a
always thought to
festival.
like to have that
Hmm.
and then to come to Idaho for your first Ramadan, I'm like, it probably can't even compare. Like it probably
Nah.
feels not so festive or exciting.
Well, it's it's a compulsion to take it. So as long as you're taking it, that's important.
Yeah, but just like the party vibe,
The party
like at
wise,
the
it's
night.
if
That was or the festival, I guess not really a party, but like the
it is a kind of a
kind of
party.
excitement of it.
Uh, I don't know. I don't think anyone would take that as a negative. But
Okay.
if you're um, if you're let's say if you're practicing your your religion and completing all those necessary rules doing your fasting and prayers and then you're going to the mosque for the prayers for the tarawih and then eating with with a group of families or with your families and enjoying or and spending some time with them, I think that is definitely a party.
Mhm.
If it's something that keeping you healthy, then it's a party.
That's true. That's true. So, can you share a little bit about the work that you're doing at IRC as you're supervising the community advisor group?
Yes, so I manage and oversee community advisors who work with um, families who have refugee background and who have been in in within their first years of residency. We kind of like coaching them, guiding them,
Mhm.
uh, assisting them to tackle their barriers, and basically kind of working, um, let's say, as a bridge and connecting them to resources,
Mhm.
whether it's like housing or employment or immigration, basically everything. And I think that's one of the, uh, let's say this way, that having this community advisors is really helpful to helps you to navigate
Yeah.
your the basic needs that you have. uh, for example, let's say requesting a maintenance for your house
Yeah.
or paying your bills, because I mean, um, it's like you can do everything through the tip of your fingers nowadays, and a lot of people knows it and a lot of people doesn't. So we want to make sure that they understand,
Mhm.
and not only like they understand, like helping them just one time, but also like trying to coach them to learn so they can tackle those barriers or overcome those challenges again in future by themselves. So that's our goal.
Yeah. Wow. It must be so vital to have. I think about like I grew up here, and then there's so many little times where I did something wrong, like at the DMV trying to get my license renewed. Well, I
Right.
didn't do the right thing, and then I had to go back home or like even with my CenturyLink account the other day, I couldn't get into it to pay my bill, and I called them. I was so frustrated. It was just like, sheesh, I can't imagine this being in a different language right now. But
Exactly, exactly. So I mean, yeah, this is why like it makes me appreciate these not only resettlement agencies or nonprofit organization, but also peoples who volunteers, who's willing to support new arrivals, new refugees. It's so kind and so helpful. I have seen a lot of people I mean, I'm surrounded by great people with great personalities like yourself,
oh, thanks.
like you're always willing to assist, always willing to help. We have interns, we have volunteers, and they're always uh, like they're so energetic to assist people, helping them navigating and connecting them with resources.
Mhm. How
It's
long?
very great.
Yeah, how long have you been working at the IRC?
Um, I think let's say 2 years, August or September 2021,
And what?
and
Yeah.
so I had like my interview on September, I believe, and then um, I took off for some times because I had my wedding plan in
Oh,
Pakistan, so I had to go there,
yeah.
and then I came back, and then so I started as an interpreter, and I
Okay.
just as a part-time interpreter, and I just wanted to be there because I had a job at that time in Journeys, and wanted to go there and help families, people,
Mhm.
with translation. And I think I have this kind of mentality that if I can help someone and it makes them um, smile or they feel happy about it, that makes me I feel peace internally.
Mhm.
And that was like always my goal to, whether I'm working in a nonprofit organization or not, like to help them in any ways that I can, even if just translating a line for them,
Mhm.
that means probably nothing for me, but it can help them a lot. So I always had that kind of mentality or mindset.
So you said when you first came to Idaho, you were looking for an exit plan. Do you
Yes.
still have like what is your hope for what's next for you? Do you want to still go experience like a bigger city, or do you want to? I know maybe your parents are listening. And you don't want to tell them yet. Just kidding.
um, well, I don't have any plan for now, at least. I mean, the primary goal for me is that my wife comes here, and so we can start our lives together, and we'll see. I always has been a person that have been gone with the
Yeah.
flow.
See where life takes you.
Exactly. Yeah. But would never decline that because I like to explore
Yes.
countries, states, and uh, meeting new people. That has been what I've been growed with or raised with. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing I really like about working in this field is that just being in Boise, we get to experience so many different cultures and customs and
Hmm.
people and perspectives, and it's pretty special to have that all in one place.
Of course, yeah, of course, yes. I mean, like, I like the diversity, which you like, learn, you meet different people, and like kind of learn from their cultures and their languages. There are two things or two aspects that I like, not only about the Idaho but the United States. Is that the system that we call rule of law, and the second that people who follows it. I mean, whether you like it or not, or whether you agree to it or not, people still follows it, and I think that's what really helps a country to develop.
Yeah.
Um, like myself, coming from a third world country, understands the meaning of this, like, that how much it helps a country to be like developing and being more stable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always really appreciated like the freedom of speech.
of
Being a
course.
journalist
Freedom of
before,
religion, freedom of speech.
I felt very grateful, and I hope that we can have a continued future of those freedoms. You see in other parts of the world where things deteriorate. And I sometimes I'm afraid of the future. But I think if enough people like value and we care about it, we can maintain those freedoms.
Definitely, definitely. I think, yeah, that's really important for everyone, and I think that's what gives people a freedom of, mentally at least, that they're free to um, have a speech or
Mm-hmm.
say what is they have in their mind, and also practice any religion they want.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything that you would like to share with Idahoans who are listening, just on ways that they can welcome in others?
Definitely. Well, first of all, thank you for supporting, because I mean, I have seen everyone. They have been very nice. I think I should say we, because I'm also an Idaho.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People have been very nice, very friendly. I have been to other states, to be honest, but I found it Idaho to be more a very calm society. People are very friendly and nice, super sweet, super helpful. So I just want to appreciate that and say thank you for that, and also just keep doing it, keep supporting new arrivals, new people who's coming, and with your solidarity, they will definitely it will help them to rebuild their lives,
Yeah.
their new lives.
Well, Sahi, am I
Yes.
saying your name right?
Sahi.
Sahi, beautiful name.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you for coming on Mosaics. Thank you for sharing about your life from
And
the
of
heart,
course,
and
of
it was
course,
really nice to have this
it
time with
was
you.
really an honor to be here, and yeah, I hope we had a good time here, and I hope audience enjoy our podcast, and keep continuing supporting us,
Thank you.
our musics.
Yes, thank you. And for Mosaics, if you know someone that you think would be a good interview for the podcast, please reach out. You can contact us at mosaics@idahorefugees.org. Thank you so much.